We call this meeting to order at 7:01. So now we won't have to rely on my voice getting your attention. Call to order, please.
Roll call. Gamka,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Noble, Winchester.
Here.
Chief Lentz.
There.
I'd like to make a motion to excuse Glenn Noble. He had an accident last week.
Support.
Motion by Paul Gamka with support by Karen Winchester to excuse Glenn Noble. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Agenda approval.
I move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Motion by Winchester,
I'll support.
support by Gamka. We're paying some bills, so we'll have a roll call, please.
That's next.
Oh, no, that's not consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Now the consent agenda. All items listed under consent agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial. They do not require discussions by the NOCFA board and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion. If discussion is desired on an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and it will automatically be moved to the last item under new business. I would like to remove the approval of the minutes. Anybody else? Support that. Motion by Winchester, support by Cullis. Roll call, please.
Winchester,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Gamka.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Gamka.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries 3-0. Public comment on agenda items only. If you would recognize, once recognized by the chair, come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. We don't have any specifics on our public comment, except that these comments are for agenda items only. Anyone wish to speak for public comment? Mr. Stern. No? Okay. Anyone for public comment? None appearing. We don't have any presentations. We will go to unfinished business, labor union attorney and negotiations update. Chief Lentz.
So the Fire Authority Committee met, Union Committee met a couple of times. We have a drafted proposed contract, and I just sent out an email to the union officials for the local here to get some dates set that both parties can meet and sit down for the first time and discuss the proposed draft.
And Mr. Gant, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think that's pretty good. And we, in the committee, we were all in agreement on the items that we offered. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, it is. Okay, thank you for that report. Articles of Incorporation revisions board policy and procedures. I think we agreed at the last meeting we want to wait until we have a full board. This stays under unfinished business as long as it's unfinished, but it will roll to the next meeting. Attorney charges from March of 2022. It's
So I'm just bringing everybody up to speed on this.
yeah, I just was, are we on the screen with us?
I'm not sure, but before we.
Oh, Mr. Cook is with us. I can put him on the screen.
Sure.
So to bring the board up to date on everything, I have received some charges from our retained law firm, Bodman, for several, 8 different charges that occurred during the month of March. with those charges, 7 of the 8 were questionable. We had some questions on, because the board did not know that consultations had happened, nor did we know what they were about. So at the last month's meeting, it was decided that based on what we had seen off of the invoices, as far as the explanations, the summaries, if you will, for each meeting date, that we would dispute the charges. And you asked me to do that. And I did send a letter to the Bowden law firm explaining what we were doing, what we were disputing, and why. They in turn replied with a response that they did not agree with our disputes and that they would not waive the charges. So I asked Mr. Falk, who was our representative from the attorney firm, and who was involved with most of these charges that were on this invoice in question, if he would be willing to speak to the board to answer any questions that the board may have as to what the charges were for, and shed a little bit more light on them than what the summary invoice shows. So Mr. Falk is with us, I believe.
Yes.
And I turn it over to the board for questions for Mr. Falk.
So, Mr. Falk, good evening.
Good evening.
So, I guess the first question out of the chute, when Miss Winchester contacted you on March 11th, and those contacts ensued, you immediately informed the board that you had been contacted. Why was that not done on the other 5, 6?
I'm here, Mr. Cullis, I'm here to answer questions about the charges. I was asked what you can fill in some detail on the charges. I'm not here to be quizzed about my actions with regard to notification of the board. If that's what this is, we can just go forward. I thought that what you wanted to know was what I talked about with Ms. Typestater, which is described in the summaries, but I agreed I would talk to you a little bit more about what that was so that the board could understand.
Okay, then there are 3 calls on March 15th analyzing the registration letter from Peter Stauffer.
On March 15th, on March 15th, I can't speak to Aaron Graves's entry. I did have a conference with him about the issues that were going on with the board. I can tell you that I was contacted by Diane, who was a board member at the time, as you can see on this charge, call with Diane Scheib-Snyder regarding issues for upcoming board meeting, receive and review Peter Stauffer's resignation. So, she was concerned about, potential issues that may come up with trying to force her off the board with, possibly, Mr. Lintz's contract. So that was basically what it was and what the implications of Peter resigning was. Now you had 2 from each township, and you didn't have an at-large. It was a short call. I got the minimum charge for that. If you're talking about the 16th was pretty straightforward. Again, a short call with her, minimum charge. And the main issue there was, let's see, received call again, a second call regarding the resignation.
Okay, so All right, well, so there are 3 calls regarding the resignation, and there's another call for an hour and a half.
No, there's a call for an hour and a half. If you read the description, there was a call, and I'm not sure how long that call was. It was lengthy. I will say that. I was asked to review the Save NOCFA website, the 211 board meeting, which took a while to review. I didn't review the entire thing. And then an email to the board. I was my email to the board, I think, from back in time that you wanted me to review, and the chief's contract. There's no secret here from the descriptions here and from what already, that Diane was not happy with the chief's performance, and there was discussions of if he were to be terminated, what are the standards? What would happen if he was terminated? What are the standards of just cause? Would he have to be paid out? Ultimately, as you know, that was never brought up at a board.
All right, Mr. Phil, can I ask what your
Sure.
legal advice was her?
What was that?
her?
I'm sorry.
Can I ask what your legal opinion was to her regarding that?
Well, my legal opinion was, to question her about, well, first of all, to question her is about what her basis for being dissatisfied with the performance was, to counsel her that you have to have, and how was it different now than it has been in the past? What has changed recently that would justify a termination? And what the contract says, which is basically that you're going to have to prove just cause, and that it would be difficult to sustain a just cause claim. And let me, again, before I go on, the board does realize by bringing this in an open meeting, you're waiving attorney-client privilege. Before I go any further.
Yeah, as I explained to you in our last meeting, we waived that privilege when we opened up this invoice for the public.
But I just want to be sure before I go any further. Yeah. So, I counseled that, you'd likely have to pay out, or if you challenged it, it may be difficult to sustain, and you may spend a bunch of attorney's fees and still have to pay out. If the contract allows termination with payout and you have the votes, you could do that. But, is that something that you really want to do? And are you going to be able to show that something changed that would justify it now? And ultimately, apparently that motion wasn't brought.
Does anybody else on the board have any questions for Mr. Bowden? All right, sir, we thank you for being with us this evening.
I appreciate it. Good luck with everything. Thank you.
How much did that call cost?
Well, it didn't, just so you know.
I spoke with him several times last week, asking him to do this for us, and at the end of the day, I negotiated, and he offered that he would not charge us for explanation of his bill.
Oh, good job.
I was gonna say, we had this debate as to whether we wanted to throw more money down this rabbit hole, but so many people had questions that we had. The first round of negotiations was that he would be with us via Zoom, as opposed to us paying him to drive out here and drive back. And we were going to address it first. And if I found that he wasn't giving us answers, we were just going to end the conversation. But then the chief informed us that he was not charging us today. As you heard, I still don't think it was obvious that he knew he was wrong for not contacting the board, and he wasn't going to address it. Because that was the procedure, was if somebody contacted the attorney, as happened on March 11th, when Kirk Winchester called the attorney, he immediately, within minutes, sent an email to the whole board notifying us that he had been contacted. None of these others he did. why on earth there needed to be 3 calls to discuss the resignation, and the 4th call, Diane Snyder to review the Save NOCFA website, the 211 board meeting, and regarding some of Chief Lintz's contact. So, I mean, I suppose we'll never understand that. It is what it is, and at some point we just have to move on and put this stuff behind us.
Since he's claiming to be a creditor, you guys can dispute it and tell him that you want written evidence of every phone call and what transpired.
He doesn't have it.
Pardon?
He doesn't have it. I already asked for that.
He didn't even know how long they call what.
No, they did not transcribe any records. I already went there.
We sent him a pretty detailed letter of what we wanted, and he basically answered none of it and said we will pay the bill. What I do think is interesting, if you notice this bill, there are 3 calls for 0.25. 2 of them are $83 and 1 of them is $85. It's a discrepancy of $2, but I don't understand why. But, I mean, the only other option is we don't pay the bill and let him take us to court and explain it all over again, I suppose. But interesting enough, while they have $83 on the front, on the back, they put 25 times 3 calls at 85. So it must just be a typo, but it is what it is. Was there any other comments?
No,
Can you forgive me for a second?
Pardon?
Can you forgive me for a second?
Maybe, it depends on what you say.
Think of whether this is the responsibility of NOCFA or Rose Township, these phone calls. And maybe transfer the invoice to Rose Township instead of NOCFA. I'm done.
Thank you. And you're excused. Yeah, there is a letter regarding the discrepancy that the chief wrote. And I'm sure if somebody wanted to see a copy of that, they could.
It was in the packet of someone.
Okay, so it's in the packet. You can find that. Okay, we will move on to new business. And I'll just publicly thank my wife who slid in here and handed me my glasses. If anybody sees her, make sure I thank her. So under new business, interview of the citizen at large candidate. We got, if I remember correctly, 7 applications. The first one that I want to address here, give me a second to find it. Oh, it's right on the back of the file. We got a letter of interest from Bob Hoffman, our county commissioner. Bob's with us this evening. Bob brought up an interesting issue, and I actually had a couple of other people ask me the same thing. So I wanted to address it tonight. The bylaws, articles of incorporation state that you have to be a registered voter in either Holly Township or Rose Township. Bob Hoffman's probably one of the only people that can claim this. But if you're in his living room, you're in
Rose Township.
If you go into his kitchen, you're in Highland Township. And because Bob is so good at eating, he registered to vote in Highland Township. So he doesn't qualify. But the interesting part is I had a couple of other people come to me and said, you guys should look at the citizen at large from being somebody outside the authority, so they didn't favor one township or the other. To combat that comment, we've never had a problem with the citizen at large in over how many years?
Since I've been chief, 17.
At least the 17 that he's been here, we've never had an issue before. It was only the recent one. So to start this conversation tonight, I want to make it clear to all of you that submitted your name to serve as the citizen at large. Your job is to represent the authority, the citizenry. Why is there a citizen at large? Because obviously, if you had two people from Rose Township and two people from Holly Township, you need somebody to break the tie. You're not going to let the chief vote. That puts him in an awkward position. So the citizen at large is a good position for somebody on the outside looking in to comment on the facts and issues that are before them and make a vote. It is not supposed to be representing one township or the other, which is exactly why you're not allowed to be serving on the board of either township or boards and commissions. So just for clarity's sake, we do have, is everybody with us tonight? Yeah. Is Bill Jones with us?
Yes.
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry, I was muted.
So Bill Jones was out of town. He was not able to be with us. Do you want to go first or do you want to go last?
Is there a first and last?
I'm fine. I can go now. I'm ready.
Well, how are you gonna? Somebody's, we're gonna interview everybody at one time, or? I just figured we were gonna down the list and let everybody introduce themselves. I didn't know if he had time for it. That being said, I was gonna go down the list, and seeing as we have 6 men and one lady, I was gonna let her go first.
Yes, the same question of everybody.
So do it that way?
That's what we did before.
Okay.
They do.
Well, then let's start letting them each introduce themselves.
Sure.
Then when it comes time for questions, we will ask one question and they want to go down the line and let you all answer that question. And we'll go from there. Perhaps at the end, if we have individual questions, we can ask those. Okay. So,
We're a little technologically confined as far as this goes, so is the board gonna ask the questions or are you gonna ask the questions? How are you gonna do it? Because I'm gonna take one of your microphones, so you'll probably have to share microphones so that the recording catches everything.
okay, so do we need the citizen at large candidates to come to the podium then?
Or we pass the mic,
Or you pass the mic?
whatever you'd like, sir.
What's the board preference? I guess we can pass the mic up here. Paul, you want to move over?
Oh, no, they're gonna need
No,
to
they're
pass
gonna
the
pass
mic.
it to the,
I know, but he said the mic up here wouldn't pick us all up.
If one microphone, if you sit close enough, will work. And then from what I can tell from the other audio, if you pass just the audience, it won't pick it up to where they're at currently.
Okay.
So we'll have to do some.
so you can ask all the questions.
So if you want to ask the questions or if you want to consolidate.
I can, if they want to field them here, I'll repeat the
Why don't-
questions.
Yeah, why don't we just pause here and put this in somewhere? If for some reason, Dan, it doesn't pick up the audio, let us.
I won't know until
Oh,
it's probably hearing me better than
Who's,
anything right
who's
now.
gonna pass the mic over?
I'm standing here, I can handle it.
Okay, I didn't understand how you could do that and that at the same.
This is taking care of itself.
Okay,
And if something goes wrong, I can see it because it's behind you.
okay. I am not the technological person, so I'm just trying to cooperate here. Okay? So go ahead and start.
You just want my name and address?
Just introduce yourself. Sure.
So I'm Deborah Bordeaux, and I live at 10450 Deer Ridge Trail in Holly.
Okay.
I'm Brad Stillwell, 17416 Timber Creek. I live in Rose Township. Been to Holly area since second grade, graduated from Holly.
Thank you. I'm Bob Hoffman, 2521 Rose Center Road. I own Hoffman Farms, and I've been in the area 30 years.
Hi, I'm Nate Morris Smith, and I'm at 2012 Bone Road in Rose Township.
Good evening. My name is Craig Strauss, and I live at 6807 Big Trail in Rose Township, and I've lived here since 2015.
Good evening. My name is Gary Young. I'm a resident of Holly Township. I live at 867 Deer Valley Road. Anyone else?
And I appreciate everyone's patience. My name is William Jobs. I go by Bill. I live on 18055 Fish Lake Road in Rose Township.
For the purpose of the questions and the interviews, Bob, you don't qualify, so we'll have to move on. That's the charter. I can't help it.
May I comment to that?
Sure.
I've been told that the board in the past has implemented a 2-year term limit. That's not in your bylaws. I was told that if you work for NOCFA in the past, you can't have a position on the board. So this would be no different. And the thing is, the biggest complaint I heard, and you said we haven't had an issue on the board in quite a few years of somebody favoring one community over the other until maybe now. But the point is, it happened. I think it'd be better to appoint somebody who is not beholden to either community. I happen to be a taxpayer in both, a property owner in both. And theoretically, you could get a person who's a registered voter who doesn't own property and doesn't pay taxes. I think this would be a fair solution. I have the experience. I've started and operated 3 or 4 businesses. I've been in public service on and off for 50 years, and I think I would bring a lot to the table.
All right, thank you. Just to clarify, the 2 issues you brought up, those were both consensus by the board where there was no ruling. The issue that you have is literally a part of the charter, and that would take a vote of the people, I think, for a charter amendment.
But it has to go through the townships for ordinance change because it's
Oh.
actually ordinance that is passed by each community.
Okay, that being said, we'll start with the questioning. Who's got the first question? Y'all told me to ask him. You got to give them to me.
No, go ahead and start with your questions. I have something that I will say towards the end, but
okay, Paul, do you want to lead?
Oh, well, I know Bob, and he's been our commissioner for a long time, so I feel that I'll save my question for the other candidates. I think it's very interesting that he would be interested in coming on the board under the circumstances. I certainly welcome his input into being on and spending his time, because you're already on all those lake boards all over your district, aren't you?
Yes, I'm chairman of the DVA in Holly and the zoning board of appeals in Highland for probably at least 25 years. Yeah, I'm pretty active for an old guy.
Okay. These are questions for the rest of the candidates.
Okay.
So if you've got a question, go ahead.
All right, then. So we're going to give the same questions to everyone.
Yep.
All right. So based on your experience, your business experience, what would you bring to the board that we already don't have?
I think he said that I can't answer questions. Isn't that what you said?
Correct.
Yeah, can't ask me.
You're asking all
He's
of
throwing the question out
I'm
there.
throwing the question
for everyone.
out.
Oh, okay. I thought he was asking.
Well, I'm not a business owner or entrepreneur, but I am in the security industry, physical security. So that leads to a certain amount of integrity in that position of where my experiences have been. People think that they should be treated a certain way because of who they are or because of their position. Where I am completely opposite of every person should be treated the same way, because security is security for everyone. And for our company, that's how my staff treats everyone equally, professionally, with integrity. And sometimes you have to say no to certain people for certain reasons. And it's not always easy to do that.
could you restate your question, please?
My question is, what do you bring to the board that we don't already have?
Okay, good question.
The people that we
Sure.
have on the board. Let me just say, Karen and George, they're both officers of Holly Township. I'm a treasurer. I'm a CPA. I had my own for many years, so.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's always nice to see
Sure.
somebody that could bring.
Right, everybody has something to offer.
Exactly.
I think for myself, I am a retired firefighter from the city of Royal Oak, 25 years. We're a union, IAFF, which I believe your union members are. I know the inner workings of the union. I've served in different positions with the union. I held almost every rank in the fire department other than chief. And so I know how a fire department should be run. I know the inner workings of the fire service. And I know the struggles that they have as departments trying to get funding, trying to get equipment, training, all with the restraints of where does the money come from, which is the position of the board is to govern that, and the chief is to administer it. And I feel like the position on the board for me would to give insight to you guys. If you have questions that I know the lingo, you know, you're going to hear terminology, you hear terminology all the time. By this time, maybe you do or don't know what it means. I know what it means. So if you hear something, read something, see something, I have a great idea of what it means and the importance of it or the non-importance of it. So in a nutshell, that is what I have to offer the board.
Thank you. So what I bring to the board, I'm a licensed EMT and working for Lapeer County EMS on a part-time basis. I've been out there since before the ink was dry on my license, I think, and have seen the operations out there within that county. As a full-time job, I work as a contract negotiator for the International Association of EMTs and Paramedics. So I'm coast to coast, dealing with fire contracts, dealing with nurses, dealing with EMTs and paramedics. And prior to getting involved in EMS, I came from the management side. So I always have my management ball cap in my back pocket because we all have to face reality. Money has to come from somewhere. We have to manage expectations. And that's not just for the EMTs and paramedics, the firefighters, that's for the board as well. So since 2012, I've been doing that and seeing the struggles that the emergency services actually deal with and where does the money come from? How do you spread the dimes, the nickels to make the operation successful? You know, in my role as a union official, I'm a mediator. I like to resolve problems before they get too far. You know, when they get into the legal arena, I would rather a board sit down and talk through resolution rather than to push agendas and make the problem worse.
I am, as of last week, I was a retired eye doctor. This week, I'm no longer retired. I'm coming out of retirement to help someone. I previously owned my own business. I started the corporation, ran it from scratch. I did my own HR, accounting, hiring. I did everything. As the same time that I had my private practice, I also purchased a franchise, so I have run multiple businesses. As an eye doctor, we are trained to approach things objectively. You can't have feelings involved when you're dealing with patients and ocular conditions and sight-threatening conditions. You have to go in and you have to look at the numbers. You have to present it and communicate it to them and be objective about it. And as the other gentleman said, you have to treat everybody equally. So I have that aspect medically, but then as the business owner coming at it financially, you have to make those hard decisions when you're going to let someone go, when you're not going to let someone go, when you're going to hire, where are you going to cut funds or cut, you know, investments and things like that. So I have a very strong background, both business wise and also medically, to kind of feel, you know, what's going on all different aspects and all different sides.
I've been a business owner for 38 years, Stillwell Construction. So I've done many, from sweeping the floor to paying the bills. That's what I did. That's what I do. So these problems here are making the budget work. Those kind of things are what I've done my whole life. As far as this board, what it needs, you ask. I think number one, needs some common sense people to sit on the board, for what I've seen for the last month or so. And I feel that I'm very level-headed. I think things through. I take the problems that are before us and look at them and make good decisions. I think I have done that my whole life. And as my daughter says, I fit the role of this board, which is citizen at large. Number one, I'm a citizen. And I'm large.
All right. Bill, are you there?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you said thought you said someone else's name. Again, I appreciate everyone's patience while I'm remote this week. I appreciate the question of what skill set do we bring as a citizen at large that the board may or may not have currently. I'm a business owner in Holly, and like all the other folks that spoke before me, you know, we all have skill sets of problem solving and understanding how to, you know, promote equality and understanding of problems and so forth. I think the thing that I bring to the board that is different than everyone else is I'm a citizen, and I don't have bias. I don't have predisposed judgments and opinions about certain events or past events or 30 years of experience because I've known someone in this area or not known someone in this area. I think the skill set that I bring most is that I'm a citizen in Rose Township, and I bring an openness to listen to whatever the problem is, whatever the situation is, give a fair and unbiased opinion of the betterment of the community. And that's what I'm most excited about. Of course, I can't see the gentleman that just talked, but I'd certainly challenge anyone on the large part. I did manage to play football in college. I was an offensive lineman, so I'm not tiny. And I could play the piano as well, but I don't know if that helps the board or not. So, thank you.
And Bill, because a lot of people don't know you, I'm looking at your resume. You've got a background experience in government as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, again, yeah, that was something. You know, you asked what I bring differently. I was very fortunate. I'm from a small town in southwestern Pennsylvania, Bentleyville, Pennsylvania. 9 years ago now, I think it's been, I ran for a position that was a 2-year term on our borough council in Pennsylvania. They're called boroughs. I ran for borough council and I won the election, and I got to sit on the borough council, and that was probably one of the most interesting things I've ever done in my life. Again, I have an advanced degree in mathematics. I run a technology company, and being able to sit on the borough council, you know, I was the youngest person on the borough council at the time. Everyone, you know, they knew my parents or grandparents. They all called me Billy, you know, and it was very interesting. And I really learned the value in presenting and putting together ordinances for the borough, and really what it meant for long-term and law, and the importance of communicating clearly to citizens, because most people didn't understand how the processes went. And so I think that experience really was eye-opening to me, and I really enjoyed that moment. So,
all right, thank you.
You have a question?
I did, yeah, Paul's was one of the ones I was, but other than Bill, has anybody served on any boards?
I have. Yeah.
I served on the Lakeville Community School Board District for a term. Was the youngest board member elected to that school board at the time. Really enjoyed serving on the different committees throughout the board, primarily the budgeting and the negotiating committee with the teachers.
Don't hold it against me, but I'm the president of our HOA. It's surprisingly a big budget for a small organization.
No, nothing. I've never served that.
Okay, so I will say this. Oh, I'm sorry. Brad's go.
I also am vice president of our HOA. And also I've been a member of the Holly Chamber of Commerce for over 20 years. And I've been president of the Holly Kiwanis for 12 years now. And that's it.
I did want to say, when you look at these resumes, these letters of intent, we are very fortunate to have such a field with experience in some of these different areas. It's very impressive to read. Also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, every application is, well, we know they're all registered voters in the authority. Several of them say Holly, but that's a mailing address. I believe everybody's in Rose Township.
I'm in Holly Township.
You're in Holly Township. Okay. Did you have any other questions?
No.
Okay, you said you wanted to be last. So one of the questions I have, and we've had this conversation tonight, there are times when there are topics in front of us that are debatable. And we, as representatives of the two individual townships, will debate them from our standpoint. I would like to think we all have the betterment of the authority as our target, but the reality is Rose Township has a budget, Holly Township has a budget, we have to represent ours, they have to represent theirs. So there are times when a citizen at large will have to be that tiebreaker, will have to be that person. Does everybody here, including you, Bill, do you all understand that? Do you all perceive that you would have any issue being that divider or that, you know, taking one side or the other? Do you all feel comfortable doing that?
I understand that I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I do a lot for my position at work.
Okay, I just want that question out because I wanted to understand that is and can be part of the purpose of the citizen at large. So it can be that difference in there. Chief, you had some things you wanted to go over?
Yeah. So welcome, everybody. I appreciate, this is probably one of the better turnouts we've had for citizen at large candidate. I think last time we had 4 or 5 candidates, and this time we've got 7. So, Mr. Hoffman, you and I go way back. I appreciate you putting in for this and your interest. And unfortunately, there's a technicality.
No problem, no hard feelings.
Thank you very much. For the rest of you, I don't know how much you know about me, and I don't know how much you know about the department. I'm a pretty common sense guy. I don't like controversy. I don't like debates unless they're a healthy debate. I'm looking, and although I will get a vote for this, just so that all of the people that are here know, I would like to see somebody that's impartial to both of our local governments. Okay, that's what the seat is in essence. Someone who represents the citizens, the men and women of this department, who give ungodly amounts of their devotion to serve you folks. So somebody, you know, who represents them as well, and our operations and the benefits and the skills and what it brings. I want somebody that, when we are discussing topics, ideas, that can view both sides of it, make an informed decision, and back that decision with an intelligent and sensible explanation. I don't mind being told no, and I know that's come out over the last year that I'm a brat, I don't get my way, and I make a mess of things. No, that's not it at all. I've been told no lots of times in my career. I've been doing this for 17 years. This is my 25th year with the department. I get told no all the time. But if you give me an explanation and show that you have some kind of momentum or research or reasonable common sense behind it, I respect that. But if you just blurt out stuff and don't give your reasons or your facts, or you didn't take time to do your research, I find that hard to respect somebody that does that. Give me your thoughts, give me your answers, back it up with good reasoning, and we'll move on. And that's all I'm looking for. So I don't know that I actually have a question rather than a statement, but if anybody would like to respond to that, by all means.
I want to thank you, Chief Lentz, and the department, the employees that do dedicate themselves, as well as the board members that do serve on this committee. I think that coming into a position such as this does take logic, it does take common sense, and it does take patience, right? Because we're hearing in the community, the communities, the uncertainties of the board. The reason I put my name in to be considered is because of the comments that I hear. I am a citizen. I have those concerns. I know that I have faith that I can go to bed at night, and if there's an emergency, that you guys are going to respond to my home. Given the latest events, that was uncertainties. And that's what the community is talking about, sitting out at the campfires in our HOA, going to the grocery store. People are talking about the uncertainties of NOCFA. And you see it driving down every street, save NOCFA. And that's why I put my hat in, or my name in the hat, to be considered, was because I have that logic, the patience, and the understanding of what it takes to be that vote that could be the tiebreaker. I'm not politically affiliated. I'm a neutral person, a citizen at large. I'm large, but not, so, I think that everybody is to be commended. The 7 people that put their names in the hat. It's incredible to see so much interest to save NOCFA.
And thank you. And I think I remember we
won't talk about that.
We met.
Yeah, we did.
But it was under decent circumstances.
It was.
I didn't write a ticket.
Right.
I do remember having a very nice, decent conversation with you. So
I'd just like to say that the bottom line here is to provide the best fire and EMS service for these 2 communities that we possibly can. The board is the vessel for that. The board will provide the chief with the resources and allow him to do what he needs to do with the resources that we can provide him. And I've had to call 911 twice in my 7 years here. I had people at my front door. I coming from a city fire department, I thought it was going to take 20 minutes to get somebody at my front door. It took under 5. I was so impressed. They were so professional. The people that came to my house, I would have took any one of them in my city. And so we need to provide that. We need to keep that up. and we need to improve it when we can. But I realize there are financial constraints always. And so you have to, as one of the gentlemen said, you know, you give the dimes here, the nickels here. So it is the board's job to find that, make it happen, work it out. I'm not the smartest guy in the room, in any room, except maybe the bathroom. And, but I know how to problem solve. I know how to resolve problems, and I'm a quick learner. And I think we just need to have a person, any of these people, or myself, that can assist you with that. And so, like I said, bottom line is best service for both communities. Thank you.
I agree 100% with Chief. The person in this position can't be political whatsoever. I'm not political. People that know me, they sometimes joke that I'm equal opportunity asshole to everybody. And that's not the case, but I try to treat everyone the same, like I had mentioned earlier. And not being on the township of either one board, I think that this is a difficult position because when you vote for it, you're going to impact budgets. But if you need extra money, you have to still go back to the township to get the budget. You just can't do, you know, it's going to be a challenge for anyone in this role. And for myself, I mean, I love challenges, and I want to be part and try to serve the community the best that I can.
Mr. Jones, do you have anything?
Yes, thank you. So, Chief, I appreciate the comments about making informed judgments and the seriousness of the role that's being asked of the citizen at large. I think what puts me in a unique position is not only is my home in Rose Township, I have a business in Holly Township. That gives me a unique perspective on in both of those areas. I think the other thing that allows and affords this position and my excitement about it is that not only as a resident business owner in both of these areas, I stand with a firm belief that, you know, really what makes a community work, a society work, and an individual work is for citizens to participate and make a difference in their community. And I think with my background with the analytical part of what I do, it allows me to really step back and assess and understand problems differently than maybe other people do. And again, I just want to thank everyone here for the opportunity. I'm excited for the consideration for this. And again, I appreciate everyone's patience while I was remote this week.
Right, thank you. So we have a decision in front of us. And, I'm sorry.
This side wanted to say anything about it?
Go ahead.
Oh, I thought Brad started, so I'm sorry.
No, it started that way.
Okay. I apologize.
No worries. Yeah, I come into this, you know, without bias, without political affiliation, without an agenda. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I've always approached things objectively due to my background in training. And so I think when you're looking for someone to join you, looking for someone such as a person like me who is a citizen, is not currently affiliated with any other board or anything else, would be a positive thing. And I would also bring that no one else on the board has the type of background that I do. And so I think that that would be a positive as well.
Just to reiterate, I'm 60. I'm slowing down on what I'm doing in life. I'm looking to give back to the community that has supported me, my family, everybody in Holly and Rose Township, things that I've built for them. I'm just looking to give back is what I'm doing. So that's why I put my name in the hat. And I believe I've been on enough boards. The learning curve will be smaller for me compared to maybe some about how the board runs and so on. And that's where I'm at in life.
So, and I started to say, I don't know that I've ever seen a better field. And typically I can sit up here and I've already got my mind made up. And tonight, okay.
Don't be so large.
My bad.
We don't have the answer.
So, in all honesty, I think we could put all 6 names in a hat, draw one, and be well served. I really do. I've never been in front of such a team of people offering to serve.
Yes, I'm glad I don't get a vote.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel like we could, I don't know, what's the rest of the board's attitude? Do we want to throw a name in the hat and draw one? Do you guys have opinions? The other way that I thought we would do this coming into this was if we wrote all 6 names down on a piece of paper and you wrote 1, 2, and 3, choose your top 3. Put those paper together with 3 of us. Somebody's going to have the lowest total number, and that would be our new citizen at large.
You mean the largest?
No, if you pick one as your first choice,
Okay. Right.
that and the person with the lowest number gets the highest ranking.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. There's one of 2 ways. There is certainly that way, or as I told you, I'm willing to throw all names in a hat and pull one. I don't know that there's anybody here better than the other to pick. We've got, it's just an excellent, excellent field. So I'm looking for input.
I could solve the problem.
Not for me.
Oh my. Write it down and
I
have
think
it
so
done.
too.
Okay, then let's take a 5-minute recess if we can.
Welcome to our guide on how to obtain your burn permit. First, go to www.nocfa.org, and then on the lower left side of the screen, you'll see Click to get your burn permit. For Holly and Rose Township, continue, and then read the rules for open burning. Then click Continue. There's a short quiz. Of course, we can't give you the answers. That would be cheating. Click Continue, and then type the numbers of your address. Select your address from the list, and click Continue. Enter your first name, in this case, Fire, your last name, in this case, Fighter, and then the phone number in which you will be calling to get your permit. You may also enter an alternative number, such as your landline, your spouse or significant others, or child, if they'll be making the phone call to activate the burn permit for the day. You also have the option to put an email address in the next line. In this case, NOCFA@NOCFA.com, but use your phone numbers and your email address. Click Get a Permit. Read the disclaimer at the top, accept it, and voila, you're done. Print your permit. Hope this helped. Have a good day.
Well, you would have thought this would have worked real well if we had picked the same buttons.
Gary, you too. You could.
We should probably done it all of them. We should bring it all of them, maybe.
Doing armors.
She's gonna win.
Sign them a number 1 through 6.
I'm sorry.
You should rate everybody as sign a number 1 through 6.
Well, here's the interesting thing. 3 people were picked by, there's only a total of 4 people picked out of all the numbers.
Take those 4 and then pick out of those.
Right.
There you go.
The problem solved already.
Okay,
As you can see, we really don't have a written down process for
well,
this.
like I said, in the past, it's usually been a fairly simple decision.
Right.
So.
Darn you all for being so qualified.
Right now. This name. This name. We've narrowed it down to 4.
Yeah, somebody's husband. Come on.
Yeah. Dan, do you have any intermission entertainment?
Hey, we can't go yes, your phone.
Have somebody call us.
Somebody call us. About some TikTok video.
Actually,
About some Jeopardy music.
I was gonna say, Mr. Jones.
Go ahead and rank all 4 of them, 1 through 4.
Final Jeopardy.
Our new citizen at large is our largest citizen, Mr. Brent School.
First motion would be to have a large chair. He may not be the largest.
Yes, well, I know Mr. Jones. Brad's got height to Bill. We want to thank you. We want to thank you for your participation as well as the other candidates. We will keep your name in case Brad ever has to step down. So depends on how long he can tolerate the rest of this board. So, sir, Mike, to take a seat up here.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Why wouldn't he?
Thank you.
Thank
You do whatever you want.
Mr. Stillwell, bring your chair.
No, he's gotta take it out.
His township.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's right. You do. Or you can go back.
You do.
You have
to go to Rose Township and the clerk will swear you.
Actually, she's here. Isn't she? She's here right now.
Would you like to swear him in?
I didn't bring my Bible. Sure.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
All right.
It was an exercise I just wanted to put you through. You did well.
That was the physical test.
Okay. Well, through all this paper shuffling, we'll back up my agenda.
I would like to remind, since we're talking about the meetings. We do still have our June board meeting, our regularly scheduled June board meeting, which will be June 21st. That's at Rose Township.
What day is that every week or every month?
That is Tuesday.
Oh, I.
Okay.
Well, a little humor doesn't hurt anything.
Okay, so the next thing on the agenda then is to approve board meeting dates for the fiscal year 2022, 2023.
Now, in your packet, I have done a draft of the monthly dates. However, I don't know how many of you caught on to this. I did not do Tuesdays. So I wanted to discuss this with the board. The reason I did not do Tuesdays is because we have and decided to move the dates to 7 p.m. or the time to 7 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays are either our fire academy nights, if we're running a fire academy, or as we are currently right now, our EMT academy, Tuesday and Thursday nights. So if we were to, I'm not saying you can't, if the board wishes to do it on Tuesdays, we're just going to have to find another venue for the alternate dates up here at this place. Because we can't use this room Tuesday nights. It's just not going to work. All year long, if we're not doing EMT academy, we're doing the fire academy the entire year. So I put down on paper Monday nights. I didn't know if that fits everybody. If not, I understand. If we choose to remain on Tuesdays, we can't do our meetings here. Discuss.
If we have to.
Monday's fine.
Monday's fine.
Don't like Monday meetings, but I guess it's fine.
No, that was the best day out of
I
the
know,
rest.
for everybody.
And is it the third Monday of every month?
It would still be the third month, yes. It would still be the third week of each month. It's just the third Monday of each month instead of the third Tuesday. And I guess the other question is, since
Okay, stop. If you go to February of 2023, you have it on the fourth Monday.
That's due to the holidays. January and February, I moved them to the following fourth Monday because of Martin Luther King Day and President's Day.
Okay.
They both fall on Mondays on the third week of each one of those months.
Okay, I'm just looking at them.
You're checking my work. I get it. I appreciate it.
Well, because when I saw 27, I had a problem.
Now, I guess the other question they asked, since we have Paula and we have Clerk Debbie here, is Monday nights interfere with anything at Rose Township? The third Monday.
I don't think Monday. Tuesday we have the zoning board of appeals, and Wednesday we have our meeting. So that's why I said Monday's good. I think would be good.
Zoning board of appeals is the beginning first.
It's what?
It's on a Tuesday. The
It's
ZBA
on
meetings
Tuesday.
are the first Tuesday.
But
So
if we
Monday would be
switch,
free.
if we switch to the third Monday, that's not going to interfere with anything?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Our calendar.
I know, no.
Okay.
So we're clear.
Look at it this way, you get it over at the beginning of
That's
the week.
right, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so is everybody on the board?
And I would have had conflicts too with planning commission on a couple of them, so that actually works better.
Okay, well, you guys go ahead and do your roll call and approve it.
Motion to approve by Cullis. Is there support?
Support.
By Winchester. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I will get these off to
Motion
county
carries.
finance for publishing.
Then the last thing on the agenda are minutes, and I think I have successfully buried them. So we gotta wait till I find them. With all this paperwork.
Third Monday's left.
I guess we should add.
Sorry.
Then we go back and forth here in Rose Township.
Yes.
Yeah. So first one is,
So the first Monday would be,
July.
I have it right in front of me. Yeah, July 18th, and it'll be here.
you got a copy of that.
I will send a copy out to the entire book.
First of June. So there's one on the 21st.
Okay. So our current fiscal year, we still have one more meeting remaining where we have to approve our budget. And that would be June 21st, Rose Township.
Okay, next is the corrections on the minutes. If you turn to the second page, down where it says Gamka resignation and reappointment, it's moved by Clerk Winchester, seconded by Cullis, and it says motion carried. That part is correct. It's 3-0. Mr. Noble made it very clear he was abstaining, even though we told him he couldn't, he would not vote. So it needs to remain 3-0 with his abstention. And then it says the motion was to accept Gamka and Mr. Noble to the NOCFA board. The board doesn't have to accept them. It was actually, the motion was to accept Mr. Gamka's resignation so that his appointment would be official. So it should say resignation, not to accept those two to the board. Then the next one would be further down under appointment, not for officers, the third one. I watched the meeting again today to make sure I had these right. It says moved by Cullis, seconded by Noble, motion carried to appoint. It was actually Karen Winchester that was appointed as the secretary in a dual role. You might want to add there that both Mr. Gamka and Mr. Noble declined, which is why it went to a dual role to Winchester.
Okay, so Winchester's the secretary
Along with, yes,
and Noble and
Noble and Gamka both declined
declined to be,
that position.
right?
And then under draft citizen at large announcement, it says Miss Winchester will make the necessary changes to the previous notice and put it out. I just thought we should word, because there were several things discussed as I watched it. The two changes were we took out the 4-year term, replaced it with the 2-year term, and we added no past or present employee of immediate family. And this was done by general consensus because it's not addressed in the charters of the bylaws.
No past or present.
No past or present employee or immediate family member. That, along with the 2-year term, was a general consensus of the board. And then on the third page, under approve new, just for clarification, and your minutes here are fine. It was a difficult thing. Mr. Noble really had an issue with the fact that the $200,000 from the two townships wasn't in the budget. The problem was they weren't in the budget because at the time the budget was put together, they didn't exist. And if you look at the minutes, we don't even announce that they exist until after that portion of the agenda. So it made it kind of awkward, but it was added to the budget and it shows up in that total. But when you go down to the next thing on the agenda was to approve the new ambulance fees. And the motion there, I watched this on the meeting, was to increase the new ambulance fees by increasing the mileage by $1. That is correct. But Mr. Noble made a very stringent point that we were to add the dollar fee was per industry standards. And he had quite a conversation on that and wanted that noted under there. So I wanted to represent that for him because I knew he wasn't going to be here tonight. Then the last statement was under status on requested ARPA monies from the townships. It says both townships have granted money to NOCFA. I think it's important there that it shows that each township donated $200,000 from their ARPA funds to match $200,000 that was in the NOCFA capital improvement line item.
Well, they will.
Well, they will.
They haven't.
I know they haven't, but that's why it was donated.
I don't need my auditors on me about getting an extra 400,000 this year.
I don't understand, but I'm just saying that those were granted there. I just thought the minutes down the road, if somebody looks at that granted money, it needs to know that it's ARPA funds to the tune of 200,000 from both townships. And those would be my corrections. If anybody else have anything, any additions or deletions? None appearing, then I would make a motion to approve the minutes as amended. Is there support?
I'll support.
Supported by Gamke. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. That brings us down to reports. The chief's report, please.
In your packet was the monthly run counts for April. We kind of had a slow month. We did 74 total calls. 43 of those were medicals. We had some vehicle accidents, a couple of vehicle fires, and I mean mutual aid calls. We had a total of 31 calls in Rose Township, 29 in Holly Township, and 5 out on I-75. Any questions on the monthly run report? We did have, although it's not reflected in April because it didn't happen until May, we had a fireworks related house fire in Rose Township over the Memorial Day weekend. What had happened was the people that were lighting off some fireworks in their driveway and went and cleaned up the cartons from the fireworks a little bit too soon. Put them into a garbage can that was in their garage, and apparently they were still smoldering. 20 minutes later, one of the occupants there in the home walked out to the garage to get something out of the car, and the garage was full of flames. So luckily, they acted quickly, grabbed a garden hose, and was able to pretty much extinguish it by the time we got there. So, had they not opened that door to go out and get whatever they needed to get, could have been a very full-blown house fire. So, just a reminder that we have 4th of July coming up to everybody. Do your fireworks, do them safely, but wait a little while before you dispose of them into a garbage can or somewhere that could catch fire, because those things can smolder for like an hour or two after you light them, coming out of those cardboard cartridges and stuff. So, I'd also like to just relay to the board that we did unfortunately lose a lose a firefighter paramedic to a full-time department. One of our paid on call part-time guys that's been with us for 6 years now. Did get an offer at Brandon Township Fire Department full-time. So unfortunately, he no longer work for us. I bring this to the board's attention and the public, because this is something we continue to run into, being a combination of paid on call part-time department. We get good people here that come and put in their time and do part-time shifts for us and run calls as paid on call guys. But when a department that's hiring full-time opens up applications, they put in there, and once they get those positions, they can no longer work for us, because normally those full-time departments are union. The union does not recognize them working in a paid on call environment after that any longer, so they're unable, even if they're still willing to work here part-time or paid on call, they're not allowed to. So lost another good employee, and
that's how many? No, in just recent months, isn't that 3?
It's probably 3 or 4 over the last 12 months. Yes. I mean,
But I thought in the last couple of months that was.
Yeah, it's a, I don't think I think the last one we lost was back in the fall. But it's a common occurrence. It's a common occurrence. We invest a lot of money, especially in the new guys and the young guys that are out of school. We invest a lot of time and money putting them through the schooling. They then come out of the department to work for a little bit. And unfortunately, we lose them to career departments.
Okay.
Just FYI.
Is that the end of your report?
That is the end of my report.
Right.
Unless I'm sorry, I guess I should ask if any of my officers out there have anything.
I just wanted to report that the water from Genesee County that Howie Township has been working on for the hydrants on Dixie Highway, they're now operational. They brought the water across Dixie Highway into Shannon Precision Products, which is a good deal. Matt and myself went out there a couple weeks ago and witnessed the flow test, and they have sufficient water for the new, very large manufacturing building that they're putting up to take care of the sprinkler system as well as hose streams.
Okay. Does that complete your report?
That's all from me, sir. Yes.
Okay, then for the first time ever, per request, we now will have a report from the Firefighters Association.
Hello, just a quick update.
Introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought everybody knows me. PJ Kravitz, I'm the Vice President of the Northland County Firefighters Association. Just a quick update. The association, the department, we were able to support both Holly Township and Rose Township in their cleanup days. Really haven't had a whole lot going on event-wise. We did have a pancake breakfast. I don't remember what the reason was for, but I'm real happy to know one of our members, Todd Moss, him and his lovely wife, Kelly, they just welcomed to the world their first child, baby boy. So what the association does with the dues that we collect and the monetary donations that we get throughout the year, we set aside part of that and we keep a baby fund. So anytime anybody has a baby, we go out and get them a $100 gift card. So that was being done today. So we'll present the family the $100 gift card, and hopefully that buys a pack or two of diapers. Really nothing on our agenda right now for the summer yet. We got a meeting coming up next week, so probably figure out at that point what's going on. But I'm just happy to help you guys with the cleanup days, and happy to be able to help them with the new baby.
Okay, thank you. Howie Township, do you have anything? I don't have anything at this time to announce. Rose Township?
Well, we're gonna have our adopt our budget Wednesday, and we're gonna have tomorrow is our zoning board of appeals meeting, which we actually have one. So these are the two meetings that are on our agenda. So I expect that our budget for the 22-23 will be adopted Wednesday.
Okay. And we will look forward to a report from the citizen at large in our next meeting. You get your own spot to report.
All right.
Okay. Number 9 on the agenda is second public comment. Is there anybody that would wish to speak in public comment? I see a hand behind the podium. When you come to the podium, if you would state your name and address for the record.
Okay. I'm Charles Flake. I live at 18221 Hickory Ridge Road, Rose Township. What's the status of hiring an attorney? A new attorney?
We did that at the last meeting.
Well, I was here and there was some discussion because there was I believe a woman that volunteered at a lower rate than we're paying, and she went to a new firm and blah, 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 blah. Is that done? Is she now our attorney?
Yes.
So why wouldn't we go to that attorney and ask her what to do with the prior attorney's billing instead of having endless conversations of people that don't know what they're talking about.
I can answer that. First of all, we did just select her last month. I have been trying to get an initial meeting with her.
Okay.
But she was in some big case that she had to do in 2 weeks. We originally were supposed to meet last Friday. She was unable to do that, but we are meeting Wednesday at 4 o'clock in my office.
And one of the topics is this.
I'm going to bring this up, yes, sir.
Good, because I think we need to have some resolution. And I don't think amongst us here that we're qualified to know what the right way to do that is. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else for public comment? None appearing, then we will adjourn the meeting at 8:34.